What year, y'all? Well, continuing on with the Breeders' Cup, we've reached one of the favorite races of all of us on Breeders' Cup Friday, and that's the Juvenile. We want to see if we're going to get a look at the Kentucky Derby winner early on, and it's a grade one. It's the ninth race on the card, running a mile and a 16th for the 2-year-olds. And it's a small group, and I don't, there shouldn't be a big surprise for why. We've got a couple that have been pretty much head and shoulders above the rest. It seems like later and longer, year after year, we see the Breeders' Cup Juvenile not be the great race that it used to be. A lot of trainers seem to be holding out their better horses for later save them more for the Triple Crown trail. And this may be one of those. I mean, last year, it was kind of the Bob Baffert show, and that turned out to be a really lousy race. Really, nobody from that race ever came back to do much. So we'll see here. Uh, Taking a look, you do have one lone front runner, and that's Blackout Time for Kenny McPeak. He doesn't have a lot of front runners in his group usually, and I like this horse a lot. I love the work tab. This horse is really coming in. The screws are turned, and this one is definitely ready to run. Now, it's certainly going to be a tall order to take this group all the way, but if you watch that last race at Keeneland, I really like the fight in this horse. Stayed in it, kept on, and there's a lot of things, in my opinion, to like about Blackout Time. And, when you have two horses who are pretty short, who are pretty overwhelming favorites, you certainly want to try to find somebody to beat them. If I look at this group, I like Blackout Time as a possible, and we're certainly going to use liberally throughout. Brandt is my pick to win this race for the home court advantage. Much the same with Explorer. I'm taking in the Juvenile fillies. When you see a Bob Baffert work tab littered with 6 furlong works, he is turning up the screws. He is getting his horse ready. Brandt, yes, has been extremely impressive and hasn't run since September. That's a little bit of a concern. But when I see a tab like I see for Brandt, I think this one is definitely going to be ready. So I'm going to pick for the home court advantage. I'll talk about Ted Noppy a little bit as to why I'm going to downgrade just a hair. Using other horses to use in this field, Intrepido certainly would make a lot of sense. And I don't disagree with anybody who wants to maybe throw Intrepido in, but look at that work tab. Those last two works are really piss poor. Um, this is a horse who just ran a monster race, and it was highly impressive, without a doubt. But I didn't like Intrepido before that race, mainly because this horse going 2 turns with a pedigree that doesn't really scream it. And maybe the work tab is showing that this horse ran a really big race and now is paying the consequences anyway. The works just don't tell me this horse isn't ready to run. That's the way I see it. I could be completely wrong, but I just can't back Intrepido. So I'm going to use a couple others with odds underneath. Comport, it's hard to argue with a horse who's never been lower than second in any race, but Comport really is just, a horse who doesn't really excite that much. I guess you could say it seems like it's been running against kind of weak fields, and you really can't like the fact that he gave it up in his last race. Um, but he is 30 to 1. He will keep running. He does have the pedigree to get 2 turns, so I'm going to throw him in there to finish underneath and under only. Litmus test, another Bob Baffert in here, and again, if it's anything like last year, the Bafferts are going to go 1, 2, 3, or they're going to be something like that. Probably not, but I think litmus test is good enough. The fact that Bob Baffert sent him to Keeneland to get him away from Brandt or some of his other more Desert Gate, some of his other more prominent runners, I think is a pretty good sign that Litmus Test has something to offer. So at 15 to 1, I'm going to throw Litmus Test in the mix. Do see those 6 furlong works that we like to see. I just don't see enough to tell me that this one has got another jump to be competitive for the win. Now let's talk about Ted Navi. Obviously, this has been a very impressive horse. I, will not disagree with you whatsoever. Keeneland, he impressed me in some respect because I didn't expect him to be that solid around 2 turns. I still don't think he necessarily is a 2-turn horse. But he did win, and he did win pretty impressively. But I look at his pace fractions, and I don't know. I mean, I just keep looking at that and say, is he really going to have it be able to run that easily again? Because I mean, he's got a horse like Brant who's going to be turned up all the way. And we really haven't seen Ted Navi be challenged yet, where he's really had to put his head down and go for it. So, while he is certainly one of the top 2 in here, without a doubt, I'm going to try to beat him. And that's really my reasoning why. I just look like when you see, those of you who use Brisnet, if you look at those fractions, that usually, when you see a horse with a 100 late fraction, that means it was pretty easy going most of the way. The only time you see like 100 is a dead closer, and usually his early fractions are in the 60s or 70s. So that tells me it was pretty easy. The pace was kind of soft. It's not going to be. I don't think in this race. I think it will be a little quicker. When you've got Baffords in there, they're going to insist upon it. So it will probably be honest. And then we'll see if, what Ted Navi's made of. At 4 to 5, it's really more just trying to beat that price. And it won't shock me if he wins. But I just, I just got a little feeling about this one. That the longer it goes, that we're going to start to see some limitations. So that's why I'm going to try to beat. And plus, Precise is a much better short price horse, I think, to bet on. I'm much more confident about her. And if we're doing this sequence, I don't want to have 2 really short horses. I mean, Brandt's going to be short, but not as short as Ted Navi in my sequences. This is a race I would probably bet more sequentially. But here's our wagering strategy. We're going to bet Blackout Time for the value. And hopefully if Ted Navi gets really hammered, Blackout Time will drift up to like 6, 7, maybe even 8 to 1. I really like this horse. A place bet might not be a bad idea, but we'll go with a win bet for value. And then we're not going to mess around. We're going to just keep it real simple with the exactas, 7, 2, 7, 8. And I think this is the kind of race you have to plant your flag. I think it's one of those 3 horses in the top 2. And then a trifecta, which I probably won't play, but for those of you who want to, I would go 2, 7, 2, 7, 4, 6, 8, 2, 7, 4, 6, 8, 2, 7, and that'll be that. This is a race I would probably use in my pick 5. If I had to, if I did use it in the pick 5, I don't think I'd use Brant and Ted Navi. I'd just use Brant single. If I was going to use another horse, it would probably be Blackout Time. I don't think this is a great rendition of the Juvenile. I haven't seen, from the horses I see in this field, anybody who's really going to step up, except for perhaps Blackout Time, other than the top 2. So there it is, the Juvenile. Hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. I wish you the best of luck as always. And certainly if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And thanks to all of you who have continued to support us. We appreciate it. Going to have much more coming. Got the Juvenile Turf on Friday's card, and then all of Saturday's races to come. We do have key Euro races out there for all the Turf Breeders' Cup races where the Euros are going to be prominent. So while you're doing your handicapping, it's a great study guide. It's a place to go for one stop to take a look at all the ones that I think you're going to want to see. So take a look at those as well, including our individual posts for all the Breeders' Cup races. So that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.